There should be certain standards to a mentorship, and not everyone is even allowed to be a mentor, because the mentor, the wrong mentor, is going to drive them away. This person has to be super strong and have exceptional leadership qualities. They cannot be just an average person. So increased job satisfaction, increased career progression, increased success for the whole entire team, a strong sense of belonging, employee retention goes up, attrition goes down, all because this great mentor came in, provided some guidance, was a little bit of a sounding board, fast-tracked their ability to adapt to the environment. And you've probably heard this before, but as Richard Branson says, train people well enough so they can lead. Train people well enough so they can leave. Treat them well enough so they don't want to. And recognition, having a deeper sense of belonging, that is going to increase retention. Showing that you care consistently in the environment, that is going to increase retention, decrease attrition, increase the loyalty, career advancement, all of the above. And so like when you David, when you challenged me to say, hey, like, I don't really want to know about the generic 90-day onboarding process, because everyone thinks that that's what it is for retention. And you're right. I was like, I can't emphasize that an onboarding process is going to guarantee someone's going to stay in your organization, especially a rock star. Like you said, it's a different type of person that you're talking about. And just like a generic onboarding, that's not the key to success in retention. Okay. So I definitely feel like opening it up, mentioning that. Like, hey, if you really have hired a rock star, there's no way just the average onboarding process is going to set the tone in the right manner. There has to be more that goes into it in retaining that talent. But in general, if we want to mention a few things that, you know, can help in the success and are a little bit more of, hey, this is just general items that typically can just help overall in the first 90 days, definitely having a formal process, at minimum, like some type of structure that they know they're about to go through in the first few days or the first week, which could include like some general items like tech setup, training material that's on demand, who the key points of contact are, who are they going to collaborate with on a pretty daily basis, who are some of the priority leaders that this person should know, making formal introductions to those key leaders in different parts of the organization, whether it's in a group setting, in person, virtual, depends on where everyone's located, of course. And of course, establishing or having a formal feedback loop in general, making sure that they are aware that there is that feedback loop in the organization. How often does it happen formally? And maybe emphasizing, hey, we're still like open door policy, although we have this formality, we're still like, hey, if something is urgent, please just come to me. Establishing that type of communication up front is really helpful, and kind of making it more open door if possible. And the general item that I mentioned, where these formal introductions are made with key leaders, what this does early on, you know, these introductions, it's going to de-risk pushback from other leaders. So other leaders have been there maybe for years or have a certain way of doing things. And this great rock star comes in trying to transform or trying to add a lot of value pretty quickly. That sometimes can throw someone off. So when you make these introductions, it's warm. It's like, hey, I'm here to, you know, this person's here to add value to X process to make our lives easier. The way you communicate that really can help the success of the collaboration. Having this person look like an authority, you know, making sure that others know that. So that way there is more of a smoother process with this person coming in and acting on behalf of leadership.
Okay.
Other items, I don't think this is super critical, but scheduling like a breakfast or lunch just in the beginning, again, warming this person up to the environment so they could get to know others. It's just an opportunity to build relationships faster. in which when you have better relationships, there are usually better outcomes and quicker. Now, when we talk about maybe items that not all companies do, I've seen this now quite a few times. Not all companies are big on the mentorship. I should say formal mentorship. What I recommend and suggest to retain a high performer is assigning a mentor from day one.
Okay.
And this is a sign to them that you're investing in their growth so quickly in the organization. And this mentor is really what this mentor is meant for, is to provide guidance, be the key point of contact for any specific questions, and helping with the learning curve going into your culture, your environment. As every environment's different and you really do want to set them up for success, the trust factor is huge. You will build trust faster when a mentor is assigned. They're able, and what we see, and hopefully maybe you can help me guide this into a study where it shows the benefits. So increased job satisfaction, increased career progression, increased success for the whole entire team, a strong sense of belonging, employee retention goes up, attrition goes down, all because this great mentor came in, provided some guidance, was a little bit of a sounding board, fast-tracked their ability to adapt to the environment. That's the goal too. How can they adapt more quickly to a brand new environment? Of course, they're a rock star. They have the ability to do so, but what type of tool are you giving them to have it even more fast-tracked? And ideally, this mentor would have some, let's go back to the commonalities. This person would have some commonalities with the rock star who just joined your team. Whether it doesn't have to be like university, like we talked about before, but let's assess like who's progressed to the next level that they would be progressing to. And who's been in the organization at minimum for about 3+ years. Let's put a 10-year mark on that, because within 3 years, you're experiencing different challenges. If it's just someone that's been there for a year, they haven't seen as much. They could be super smart, they could be great, but the more time you spend with an organization, the more challenge most likely you'll see, the more you'll understand more of the best practices. And that's probably going to be someone that's a little bit better to engage as a mentor versus someone that's been there for only a couple of years or even a year. And maybe we can also emphasize, if there it is within the study, there's a lot of warmth that's built up, and momentum with the warmth side is really, really important. I think you may have referenced a study early on in the chapter that I really like.
Okay, so maybe we can refer back to that, because it's okay to refer twice.
Yes, but certainly, David, like a study on the increased job satisfaction, career progression, strong sense of belonging, employee retention, that one is going to be eye-opening, for the reader.
I think there are many studies on the subject, so that should be.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, perfect.
It's like, so I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but I have a question, or should I hold it?
Good. Yes.
It just seems so logical and clear, but obviously a lot of companies don't do this. They don't welcome the rock star with a sense of warmth. They don't make them feel like part of a team. So where does it break down? Maybe like in bigger companies, or maybe smaller companies too. But where does it break down? Like because every CEO who's reading this probably thinks, oh yeah, we do that. Yeah, our team is very warm. Our culture is welcoming. But we know that's not true. So where specifically does it break down?
That's a great question. Where it breaks down is this mentor is assigned and they do not make themselves available for anything. It's just like, okay, I'm tagged as a mentor and I do nothing.
Yeah.
That's a breakdown. The new rock star schedules a time with their mentor and it's canceled, rescheduled every time. That's a breakdown. And I've heard that before. So the warmth decreases and sets a really horrible tone. It's like a bad taste in your mouth. Okay, my mentor I'm supposed to rely on. I really need to talk to them. They keep rescheduling. I'm just not going to schedule a time anymore. I'm done. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just going to try to figure it out myself. Or, you know what? I don't even know if this environment's good for me anymore. I think I value mentorship so much that I don't know that I can stay here for too long. So let me start my job search again.
Yeah, I could see it as the kind of thing, right? Like your mentor's assigned on day one, you have a chat on day one, and the mentor disappears. And I think a lot of people are reluctant to ask for help. So if you're the new hire, maybe you're a little shy about asking this mentor, who's also a
Mhm.
high level person, probably higher than you, or
Mhm.
maybe rocks. But I think rock stars probably they know the value of being mentored, but they also probably are more independent and go it alone and don't like to reach out for help. So I think the burden is on the mentor to be like, not even to say, do you need help, but just to say, like, let's check in. Or, I mean, you tell me, but like,
Yes, yes.
let's get a weekly check in or like monthly check in or something like that.
Well, yes. So another breakdown is the mentor is not proactive at all. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm a mentor. If they need me, they'll call me, they'll schedule a time. Well, that's another breakdown. That's another breakdown because it's not one-sided. Let's not make it one-sided. Let's make sure that it's a two-sided relationship. That's a good one, actually. We should emphasize that, a
Okay.
two-sided relationship. And how do you do this is you as a leader have to set the tone with what a mentor means at our company. You cannot just assume, okay, I'm going to assign this person as a mentor. They're going to know exactly what to do. No, there should be certain standards to a mentorship, and not everyone is even allowed to be a mentor because the mentor, the wrong mentor, is going to drive them away. This person has to be super strong and have exceptional leadership qualities. They cannot be just an average person. Remember, like attracts like. So if the mentor is wrong, well, that can hurt. Let's make sure it's the right one. Let's set up some standards. And
Yeah.
let's also, as you mentioned, like track this mentorship. Okay, how many touches have they had within the
Mhm.
first quarter? And what were they about? So that way there's accountability on
Mhm.
this mentorship relationship. That would be
Yeah.
amazing if they can have that. Yes.
So all this makes sense as far as like creating a process and an accountability to make sure the mentor is actually doing the mentoring.
Yes.
Whose job should it be to kind of keep track of the mentor? Because I think the CEO is thinking like,
Mhm.
I agree with all this, but I already got so much on my plate. I can't
Yes.
also be making sure that this mentor mentee relationship is working. Would you recommend assigning like an HR person to kind of
Yes.
track the number of touches, or like, or is it just something that the mentor has to do themselves?
Certainly with accountability, let's not just rely on this relationship. Let's have someone overseeing the mentorship program that is in place. That would be most ideal. Not
Yeah,
putting it on the CEO, no.
yeah.
But
And who,
HR could be the one responsible, and HR could also they could know, or maybe there are set benchmarks as to what the red flags are in a mentorship relationship. So they could step in and fix the gap before it hurts the retention. And the whole point of mentorship is to help, not to make it harder for your organization. It is an investment, but an investment that yields a lot of dividends versus your company having to recruit for the same exact person again. That is time, energy, money, more training. So that investment does go a long way. And, again, if we could maybe point to a great company that has a great formalized mentorship program as an example, I think that could be great
yeah,
and
that's definitely.
emphasize. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's I mean, in the book, we've often used your own experience as examples,
Yes.
but it'd be just as effective to reference other companies out there. And
Yes.
this has been reported on in studies so much, like, big companies that do these kinds of things right. So yeah, we can bring in an example from like Harvard Business Review and those publications are always reporting on this stuff.
Yes, I think that would be great. Oh, and a big one, really, really big one is also when you invest in the rock stars in your organization, you're now building a stronger leadership pipeline, which reduces cost of hiring another leader. Instead, this person continues to move up in the organization. You're investing in them. They don't want to leave. They feel super loyal because you're making them feel like, you care. That's a
Right.
big one that I also want to just mention, outside of the retention up, attrition down, career advancement up, loyalty up. Most importantly, you're showing that you care about them as a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this shows. Again, we talked in the book, like this is not a product, it's a human being with emotions, feelings, like let's treat them as such. And if you really have a rock star, there has to be an investment. That's what it comes down to as well. It cannot just be, I'm hiring this person, I'm expecting them to just be great on their own. Everyone has room for improvement. And every rock star needs tools to help them improve, to help them get to the next level. And if you give that to them, they're going to feel loyal to you to stay and continue to progress and add value.
Okay. Excellent.
So the messaging when a new team member is coming in is, okay, how this is going to impact the organization. How is this going to impact them as an individual as well? That is great to hear from the tone at the top. And the buy-in, if you're setting the tone like that, the buy-in will happen versus, okay, it's just like, we don't know what this person is doing here. Or they have an idea, but their perception is not accurate. So we need to close that gap. We need to set the perception, not them.
Who has an idea?
Each team member will have an idea of what this person's here for.
What the new employee is here for.
Yes.
Okay. I need the expectations of what that is need to be clear for everyone. Okay.
Yes. Especially if it's a strategic leadership role. You need buy-in. Without buy-in, there's no change happening.
Buy-in from
happening slowly.
Buy-in from everyone else or from the
Yes. In order to make a significant impact more quickly, you need buy-in from others because they need to also execute. So that's really important now that I think through this as you're asking me questions. And without buy-in in any organization, things will go slow. Things might not even work out. You might have to fire a lot of people. So just keeping that in mind, the buy-in needs to be there with this new person.
Yeah.
So that this person feels, okay, I have authority to kind of make change and give more clear direction to other team members. And they are respecting me for that because they value that I'm making a positive difference and impact in the organization because the CEO and CFO said that.
It's one thing if you're the CEO to tell your team, we have this new hire. Listen to that. But buy-in is another, you need more than just simply to give a verbal order. So how do you navigate that?
Well, first, if you don't explicitly mention any of this, there's going to be a perception from them thinking otherwise.
Okay.
So it doesn't just stop there, but if it's not explicit from the beginning of this person's employment, it will make the person's life harder. And the rock star is there not to have a harder experience. They want to be strategic and they want to kind of be challenged, but not with pushback. That would not make sense for them. That would be like, okay, well, I'm capped at what I can do here. They don't want to feel that way. They want to feel like I have authority to do great things in this organization and mentor others. And the buy-in, we can talk about it, but I don't know how much detail do you feel like we have to give here? It's just,
Yeah,
if it's not there, it is kind of like a failure. If you just introduce the team member, don't mention what the impact is, how they're going to positively impact this organization,
so
then they're just thinking of whatever they want to think of about this person.
so we don't have to go into too much detail, but maybe say an example. It can be hypothetical
Okay.
of what that would look like. So the CEO says we have this new person. Their impact is going to be XYZ. What's an example of what that might be specifically?
They're going to transform processes to increase efficiencies, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to help us through this upcoming acquisition. They are going to create some great financial models that will increase visibility into the organization. They will be, if it's business development, for example, they're going to be leveraging their relationships to help us grow this company.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we have more revenue, well, guess what? More of bonuses for you, more of the ability for you to have a higher increase, things like that. I think can just connecting like, okay, this person's bringing in what type of value, how does it impact us? Connecting
Yeah.
the dots for them.
Okay.
Some of it, again, could be like, okay, we kind of understand, but then when you do mention it more explicitly, I think, again, you have to set the tone as a leader. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot just say, can I just say, okay, we got a VP of finance, great, gonna help our team. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's not as impactful. And that's not going to motivate the new rock star as much either. As a leader, your communication, how you communicate to your team is very important. I guess we can mention to emphasize how you communicate things to the team will help with retention because everyone will be able to connect the dots as to this new person coming in.
Let's talk a little more about how specifically to build those long-term relationships.
Yes.
So of course, mentorship is one, but what else do you do?
Recognition is going to be huge and very underrated. And I'd love to put a definition of recognition here.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people forget that they have to
Right.
do this, that it's not, okay, this person is great, like they don't really need recognition. Again, let's say how does someone feel when they get recognition? They did something amazing. It makes them feel good. That's the psychology aspect. Building a strong long-term relationship through recognition. And when you do recognize them for achievements, you want to connect it to the company's values. So it can be very related and make a more of an impact. So for example, we could put this in quotes. You can say this if they've done something amazing. The way you handled truly reflected our values of XYZ. It set a powerful example for all of us. Thank you for that. But mentioning the situation, then tying it back to the company's values. So there's a correlation of what a great impact they made. And high performers, they stay when they feel appreciated for their hard work. Again, we talked about this earlier on in the book. They put their heart and soul into what they do. They're not just doing the bare minimum. If you want them to continue to be exceptional, to go above and beyond, recognition is a must. Like it's a requirement of an organization. If you want to be great, you want to, that build part, you could go back to the build. That's so important. And when recognition aligns with the company values, it reinforces purpose. Recognizing the actions that reflect the team's shared goals and vision, this is going to deepen the sense of belonging, which again, maybe we've already talked about the study, but that warmth is really important.
Okay.
The deep sense of belonging and direction, I should say. And just a quick quote, because I do love this leader and entrepreneur, and you've probably heard this before, but as Richard Branson says, train people well enough so they can lead. Train people well enough so they can leave. Treat them well enough so they don't want to. And recognition, having a deeper sense of belonging, that is going to increase retention. Showing that you care consistently in the environment, that is going to increase retention, decrease attrition, increase the loyalty, career advancement, all of the above. Give them the credit as a leader, you don't have to take the credit. It's okay. The one item that is really, really important too, part of the retention, is don't treat this rock star the same as, let's say, your average employee in your organization. I don't mean the respect. I don't mean other things. I mean, if they're impacting the organization significantly, the treatment opportunities given, they inherently will be different.
Okay.
Just keeping that in mind, that it's okay. And I'm not talking about caring and all, but it's okay to treat them slightly differently because they're a different type of person.
Okay.
Keeping that in mind. So this is a big one. That's not just the general item that they talk about. Making sure that, of course, there's continuous challenging work, yet you want to try to have them avoid burnout. I've seen this happen a lot. A lot of organizations are like, this person could take on a lot. Let's just keep piling it on, more responsibilities. And this person, like you said, sometimes they don't speak up. Their standards are like, I have to add more value. I have to keep, and they're on like this hamster wheel of continuous adding value 24/7. They're giving up their weekends. They're giving up family time. Now you've pushed them away because they didn't speak. They don't feel maybe comfortable speaking up and they care about their job. So they're in a dilemma themselves. And this happens a lot. But this one is tricky, like we're talking about, because it can be so easy to keep piling on the responsibilities because they are continuously exceeding expectations. And the more you give them, the more they're like, I need to keep exceeding.
Right.
But it's burning them out. Again, I don't know how many studies we could put here, but this is a powerful one on the burnout and how it can affect retention. One item that I don't believe many organizations implement or incorporate in their environment as a whole. And that's incorporating mini breaks to prevent burnout. Now, again, we want to make sure that the pile is balanced and their responsibilities are balanced, but we also, let's say, we're understaffed. We just kind of have to make things work. Everyone's picking up additional responsibilities. How can we minimize the burnout? Well, mini breaks, I'm sure there's something out there that says how it boosts your mental clarity. It decreases making minor mistakes or errors, or maybe even making less than ideal decisions. Because if you are burnt out, your energy level is down, your mental clarity is not there. Now you're making decisions out of a place that's not very balanced. And you're unable to make the best decision for the business, which can significantly impact everyone. And of course, like with mini breaks, it also does prevent fatigue, which helps better decision making. And when someone takes a mini break, let's say they take a walk, they grab something, they talk to someone, I'm sure the chemical level of certain things goes up. So happiness levels go up. Overall, if mini breaks are incorporated, they will continue, the rock stars that you have will continue to show up consistently and more energized versus saying, okay, well, we're just an organization that kind of like doesn't leave our desk.
Yeah.
We are serious about our work. And I don't care how you feel. It can get draining for a rock star when they have these responsibilities. And so if the organization as a whole can be advocates of the mini break, that I've seen be super, super successful. And I'm speaking from my own business too.
Oh, what is a mini break?
Great. What's a mini break? Quick 10, 15 minutes to take a walk.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know if they can do any physical activity during that time, but maybe grab a tea, talk to someone, just get up and stretch, like walk around. You need physical activity.
Don't people just
being able to separate yourself from the environment for like 10 to 15 minutes. Yes.
I mean, don't people just know this already? I was just to play devil's advocate.
No.
So if they don't know it and they don't do it, then
No. No, no, no.
This becomes part of the culture, or it's like, you send out you send out an email once a week, like, hey guys, remember to take a mini break, or mini breaks can look like this, or
Yes.
practically speaking, how would you, because you can't physically make a rock star get up,
No.
you can't tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, go take a walk around the block. That would be probably insulting to them, even though they need
Yes.
it. But
Yes.
what would you do to like encourage breaks?
Well, you can just say, hey, like we feel taking these mini breaks does XYZ. You can give them, let's say, a one pager. Have a one pager up in your office. Maybe
Okay.
give it to them during the onboarding. These are the benefits. And of course, it's voluntary, up to you. But if you could, at minimum, incorporate this in your daily routine at work,
Uh-huh.
that would help the ability to make better decisions, just in general, that you have incorporated that into your culture. And I don't know that organizations are, I haven't heard an organization say that's part of our culture or that's okay. Sometimes a rock star might say, oh, I can't take a break because I have this, and I don't want them to think I'm not working. But then if you say, well, we are advocates of this and we've seen it help our team members, it's part of our environment, that's going to prevent burnout, even if they have more responsibilities. Because again, it's increased the mental clarity, it's given them time to step away automatically, like from a chemical balance standpoint, something like that does happen.
All right.
And basically, you want to normalize the mini breaks. That could be a breakthrough for certain organizations, honestly. That's how I feel. Because that's what I see go wrong. There's no separation during the day. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you're just a machine. You keep just running, and your brain keeps running for
Yeah.
9, 10 hours straight, which they're working more than the average 8 hours. It's that compound effect. That's what causes burnout. But imagine
Yeah.
you have some of these breaks. Well, now I am even stronger here, which allows them to have a better balance in general. Again, there's a science behind it, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And even in the corporate world, like when I don't want to use this story, but when I was in the corporate world, we go out, go downstairs, get a coffee or get a snack or whatever it is, and you're talking to a bunch of people about unrelated work items. You're a little bit more energized to get things done. So it's a human psychology aspect too. Like that's humans need that, is what I'm trying to say. And rock stars even more because you're giving them more. So guess
Yeah.
what? They need more breaks than the average person. Oh, another one. Do not have them in meetings that are not priority.
Right.
Let them focus on the goal that will increase your ROI and
Yeah.
will impact the whole team. And this is a problem in the corporate world. They just add so many people to the meetings. You're not conserving this rock star's energy. Have to be selective with which meetings this person is involved in. It's
Yeah.
not that they cannot be everywhere. Let's be selective again. Which meetings do they really need to participate in and have to be involved in? And
Uh,
with AI these days, you can put an AI notes,
mhm.
have a summary, and send it to the rock star instead of that rock star wasting 2 hours of their time when they could
Right.
have produced a better ROI for you.
That's a good point.
Let's leverage
You,
AI. Like, let's not have these rock stars in all these meetings. It's a
that's,
waste and a drain of energy. They are not energized by staying in a 2 hour meeting. If it's critical, strategic, like, of course, that makes sense. It's a collaborative effort.
yeah, especially if that's why they left their previous position. Job where they're sitting in week one and it's like, oh man, this is just the same thing.
Yes,
In different
yes.
companies. Yeah. Okay.
That's a big one in the corporate world. Definitely have to have that one. Actually, like a funny story, quick funny story. I was in the corporate world and my CEO told me to be in a meeting. As I'm listening, I said, I'm going to excuse myself. I swear to you. Because I was like, definitely leaving this organization.
Wow.
I
Let's
was
put
like,
that in there.
this is a waste of my time. And
No,
I excused myself.
uh-huh.
And I didn't feel bad. I was like, I don't even care if I get fired. And I knew I wasn't going to get fired because I'm producing more results than all the people in the meeting. That was before I left the corporate world. Don't have to put that in there, but
Okay.
that was my last straw. I said, this is not
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, readers will, even if your readership is primarily in the corporate world, I think, yeah, I mean, it kind of adds to your respect and authority a little bit. Readers really respect people that, that dare to dream, or that
Yes.
refuse to put up with XYZ, even if your average reader of this book might be Mr. Corporate, who's worked in, yeah,
Yes.
but even they can kind of, respect what you've done, and like a big part of the book that kind of is an underlying level underneath the actual text on the page is
Mhm.
like, do I respect the authority of this author? So that a little story like that kind of adds to the respect that you have in the minds of readers. So you brought up an earlier point about, like, you bring in a rock star into the organization,
Mhm.
they're a person, and there's other leaders there, maybe directly below them, maybe on their level on the hierarchy, or directly above them. And these other leaders who are maybe veterans of the organization, they might feel like their feathers are ruffled a little bit by this new person coming in, just the way like
Mhm. Mhm.
human beings are in any organization. There's a new kid on the block, and like, oh, who's it, or who's this rock star from Ernst and Young who thinks that they're so, high and mighty, blah blah blah. So this is
Right.
just normal organizational stuff. But what do you advise in that respect? Because the rock star has a tough job of, like, yeah, they've been picked to do a
Mhm.
job and be
Mhm.
leader, but they also have to respect existing
Mhm.
relationships. Maybe they're there to make change happen, and a lot of people resist change,
Yes.
but you guys strike a balance. So I don't know what your advice is on, like, that in the context of this chapter, which is like how to make sure the rock star stays, but you also got to keep your other people happy.
Yes. Well, it depends. You might have to get rid of some people depending
Hmm.
on what happens when this
Okay,
rock star comes in. Be prepared for that, actually.
that's a good one.
Be prepared for that. Now, I would raise awareness for the rock star into the
Yeah,
team members who have been not as aligned with the organization. Give them a heads up. Don't let them figure it out on their own.
don't let the rock star figure out who's who, and
Yeah,
like,
because yes, like don't blindside the rock star. If
yeah,
there are certain issues and challenges in the organization, I actually wrote this down.
okay,
Make them aware of some common challenges in your environment to avoid surprises. Super
yep,
important because the rock star is going to know, like, there's all different types of people in an organization. Nothing is going to be perfect. They're not expecting perfection.
yeah,
They want to make an impact and have authority for sure. And raising the awareness is going to first build trust.
mm-hmm,
Second, they're not blindsided. It's just like, okay, I have to be aware of this. I have to navigate this differently. My approach with this person has to be slightly different than maybe my own leadership style. They're coming
mm-hmm.
in with a leadership style, and maybe we have to pivot it for certain team members. I think that's huge. I don't see many leaders doing this though.
They
Like,
wouldn't.
okay, like they bring someone in, and all of a sudden they come across someone that's a complete what the I just joined this organization. But
Yeah,
imagine someone gave you a heads up. Oh,
yeah,
you're going to be interviewing Rita. She's like this. Oh, now I know. Well, of course I'm going to treat her this way.
uh-huh.
Like common sense. Like if someone is a great leader, they know they have to maneuver their style to
Mm-hmm.
this type of person
Yeah,
instead of getting hit with a brick across your forehead and
I'm
then leaving a bad taste in your mouth. Like, I was hired by the CEO. I need, I should not be treated like this. Don't allow other team members to treat your rock star like shit.
okay.
That should be a standard in an organization too. Because
Yeah,
again, they can have their own issues and it might not even be about this person. It could be a person, whatever they're going through. Give them the heads up. This is the way, I want to make sure you're aware. These are the team members. Let's say they're on a performance plan, even. let's make this leader aware. It's very critical because let's say they're collaborating and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden they don't see results from this person, or this person's not executing. They're just wondering, maybe, okay, do I need to report this? No,
Mm-hmm.
actually, this person has been on a performance plan for the past month. Like
Okay.
little things like that. Give them the insider knowledge to be more successful more quickly.
Mm-hmm. What if your company is just, I was gonna say like if,
Like their build is off.
no, yeah, like if it's not, there's an emphasis in this chapter on like setting the tone, warmth,
Mhm.
friendliness. Some offices just
Yeah.
aren't like that. And what do you do then? I mean, I think the answer is that's a whole other problem related to the culture.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
even know if there's really any advice you can give beyond, if your workplace sucks, then change it and make it not suck, which is
Yeah,
not.
kind of like, hey, if you feel like your company is not even capable of doing this,
Mhm.
you have a bigger problem. Yes,
Yeah.
you have a bigger problem, and that bigger problem is going to hurt retention.